And to kick us off, I'd like to welcome to the stage the President and CEO of the Greenlining Institute, Debra Gore-Mann, to give some opening remarks for the day.
Here she is. Bring her up.
Hey, Debbie.
Hey, Debbie.
Thanks, Hannah and Siobhan. I agree that DJ was awesome. Well, let me get us started.
Go ahead. You got it.
Welcome to the Greenlining's 27th Annual Economic Summit. We have an exciting day planned, but first of all, I want to take a moment to acknowledge all the people doing so much for us, often at great personal risk. All the healthcare workers, the essential workers who pick our food and stock our grocery store, who care for our elderly, and so many more. And compared to our share of the population, greater numbers of people of color have died in this pandemic. Many grieving families have been unable to say goodbye to their loved ones. I'd like to take a moment of silence to honor the many victims. Thank you. So today we're going to spend some time talking about policy, but let's not forget, today is really about people. I'd like to say thank you to our sponsors, without whom this summit would not be possible. We thank you for your flexibility and spirit of partnership as we made this complicated transition to this online event. We literally could not have done this without your support. So in the past, this was our favorite time of year, our summit time, where we could connect, build, reinvigorate each other to continue our challenging work of racial equity. So we dug in, redesigned, and innovated our summit to bring you a provocative experience that still offers the connections we desire, the engagement we need, and the inspiration to fuel us. And here we are today, gathered together. I'm inspired by the possibilities that this day serves to bring you. I'm excited about the storytelling you will hear and the story catching you will keep. Our founders, John Gamboa and Bob Gnezda, laid the groundwork through decades of advocacy work, legal battles, and community activism that has made it possible for the groundbreaking policy work we do today. They challenged leaders and the markets and communities to simply do the right thing because it was the right thing to do. They literally mortgaged their homes to get this organization started and do the great work that was necessary to demand justice for our community. How many of us would have put our houses on the line for what we believed in, for a cause that was so uncertain? Through their shared leadership, along with our founding board co-chairs, George Dean and Hortensia Lopez, this foursome battled banks who wouldn't lend to the communities of colors and didn't just fight redlining, they invented greenlining. The idea of proactively bringing hundreds of millions of dollars of investment and opportunity into communities of color. These were fierce leaders. These were demanding leaders who took on banks and utilities and caused havoc. These were leaders who reminded me of the TV series from Scandal when Olivia Pope's father said, "I am the hell and the high water." And their legacy lives in Greenlining's work today. From our monumental efforts to advance climate policy that protects California's frontline communities, to our efforts for greater transparency amongst healthcare institutions, to supporting minority-owned small businesses and micro-entrepreneurs, and demanding all of this through a racial equity lens. This would not be possible without the incredible staff who built the foundation that is Greenlining. Hey, believe me when I say this is an awesome responsibility for me to take up the mantle of leadership and this summit. But I have a blueprint. We first gather together, we gather our communities, we share our stories, we listen intently, and we move forward. So see, we had to have this summit, pandemic or not, hell or high water. One of my heroines, Grace Lee Boggs, a Chinese American who spent much of her life advocating for civil rights and labor rights, became such a noted figure in Detroit's Black Power movement that people assumed she must have been partially Black. It was Grace Lee Boggs who said, "Movements are born of critical connections rather than critical mass." She went on to say, "Our challenge as we enter the new millennium is to deepen the commonalities and bonds between these tens of millions, while at the same time continue to address the issues within our local communities by two-sided struggles that not only say no to the existing power, but also empower our constituencies to embrace the power within each of us to create the world anew. This is what we're going to do today. Let us create community for a few hours and embrace the power within each of us to begin to create in our mind's eye what we want this country to be. And we're going to give you some gifts along the way. Your first gift is conversation with voices that will awaken your heart and open your mind. What a wonderful gift. Remember to do your story catching. We're going to walk along the streets of hope and empowerment, but sometimes on different sides because we are not a monolith and we have many voices to hear today. You will hear from the internationally known expert, author, and professor John A. Powell and Latifah Simon, who will discuss this coronavirus crisis and its implication for our communities and where we can find hope and resilience in the face of the unknown. We will swiftly move to a robust conversation with Black Lives Matter co-founder Alicia Garza and other incredible movement leaders. They will discuss the need to build power during this important time and how we can do so in solidarity. As we continue our summit walk, you will now approach the breakout sessions. You have 3 really good choices here. Our first round of breakouts will focus on the immediate economic and health impacts of COVID-19 and where to bolster efforts to ensure communities of color are prioritized. So following lunch, you will not want to miss our afternoon fireside chat with the New York Times bestselling author Ibram X. Kendi, one of the most influential historians and thinkers of our time. He will share his concept of anti-racism and anti-Black policies that have reshaped the conversation about racial justice in America. For the afternoon breakouts, the focus will be on all the ways to lift resiliency in each other and our communities as we move through this coronavirus. These breakouts emphasize what is needed for long-term transformation in our economy and the environment. We will also have an awesome session where we will be honoring some inspiring young leaders in our movement. #YouthPower. And finally, we turn the corner and we end our day with an incredible closing plenary. We are excited to be joined by Professor Manuel Pastor from the University of Southern California, Rihanna Gunn-Wright, a key leader on the Green New Deal, and Solana Rice from Liberation in a Generation. They will take us beyond the existing paradigm to create a more resilient planet and people. I hope we will give you your second gift, the gift of honesty. We're living in a pandemic of devastating speed, scale, and severity. These impacts weigh on each of us in different ways. Meeting this moment will require all of us working together to overcome the crisis and resolve the deeper inequalities it has exposed. We hope you will jump in the chat rooms, ask questions, get answers, talk to sponsors, and meet your comrades that will sustain you and create resiliency. Let's speak and listen with candor. I truly believe at this gathering, we can hear the brutal honesty of COVID-19 and its near and deadly impact on us. To speak the truth now has never been more critical. Let us be guided by our collective historical wisdom to move us from adequate to extraordinary. Now, we need one important gift from you. We ask you to be fully present today for each other. It's not an easy gift to give, especially while some of us have children who may fly into the room, or a roommate who might turn on the microwave, or a pet who might greet the delivery person. But if you can be present for each speaker, where each engagement we greet each other with a shared attentiveness, that will bring intention to our gathering. Look, there's nothing more powerful than a focused group of people. I really don't know any other way. I want to talk to people. I want to hear the truth. I want to hear other voices, no matter how different from my own. I want to be inspired to help me lift my voice. I need to build community with mutual aid and not charity. All these things give me hope. So remember, when you're up to your knees in disappointment, when they hand us heartache, when they slip hatred and war under our doors, and they offer us handouts on the street corners of cynicism and defeat, you tell them they really ought to meet your ancestors and the comrades you met today.